Okay, are you ready to set some personal boundaries? The first thing we're going to talk about is recognizing your limits. Understand what makes you feel uncomfortable and stressed, and then identify areas that you might need space, you might need to take a step back, you might need support. Also reflect on past experiences where you felt overextended or taken advantage of, and use those to help pinpoint your limits. So although this, the example I'm going to give is more of, well, it's a professional boundary, but it's also a personal boundary for me. So it's kind of a double whammy because it does impact me personally and does impact my mental health. So when I was starting out as a psychotherapist, I was trying to figure out what my niche would be. So like what I wanted to focus on: trauma, addiction, grief, whatever it may be. And so I started reflecting back in my past and things that I'd dealt with, been through. And, grief was a big one because I'd lost my mother, a few other people close to me. But I thought, no, I think I would be okay with that. And then I came to addiction. And right away, I was like, that's a hard limit. That's a hard boundary. I cannot treat anyone for addiction because I had someone very close to me in my life who struggled with addiction, and it impacted my son's life and my life, and it impacted our mental health. And I thought that there would be some counter-transference there. So for those of you who don't know, counter-transference with therapists is when we're triggered by clients and it brings us to personal experiences where we might be feeling what they're feeling, and that's not ethical, and it's not it's not a good feeling either. So I thought, no, addictions can't do that. That was me knowing my limits, recognizing them, reflecting, doing all the things that I just talked about. Now, I could most likely do addiction therapy because I have worked on that stuff, but I don't need to go there. So I choose my boundary, my limit is to work on the underlying, like the trauma, other mental health issues or mental illnesses that may be contributing to the addiction instead, and then referring out for the actual addiction therapy or doing it in conjunction with. So the next one we're going to talk about is communicate clearly. Once you understand your limits, communicate with assertively and clearly, using iMessages to those around you. I know, iMessages are hard. I mean, we don't talk that way normally, but if you start a sentence with you, the other person's not even listening. They're formulating a defense because you is very blaming. Okay, so for example, I feel overwhelmed when I'm expected to handle all of the household chores. Can we discuss a more balanced approach? If you said, you never do any of the chores and I always do, the person's like, that's not true, and then there's an argument. Another one might be, I feel invalidated when I share how I'm feeling, and the response I get is, you'll be fine, or you are fine, or it is fine. Think about this. If you said, you don't listen to me or validate my feelings, the other person's going to say, yes, I do, right? Or, that's not true. And you can say, that's how I feel, that's how I see it. Going forward, boundary, going forward, if I feel invalidated, if you just tell me everything's going to be fine, I'm going to let you know that that's not okay, that I need support. Okay? So communicate any of your boundaries clearly and assertively. Assertiveness is not aggressive. It's not, this is what I need. Assertive, to sum it up, is sticking up for yourself, standing up for yourself, setting your needs and wants in a manner that is respectful to self and others. Okay? So that's the second one that we're going to talk about. The next one is a big one. And one that so many people struggle with: saying no. So the next boundary method is practice saying no. Saying no can be challenging, especially if you're accustomed to saying yes. If you're a people pleaser, it's very challenging. So if you always say yes to please others, or you don't want to hurt other people, or you don't like conflict or confrontation, I've talked about that in another video, but it's crucial to remember that it's okay to decline requests that overstep your boundaries. Practice saying no in a respectful, assertive manner. Firm. Thank you for the offer. Maybe another time. I would love to help. However, I have a lot on my plate right now, so maybe another time. If the other person doesn't like that answer, okay, that's on them. Because they need to figure that out. And if they're upset about that, well, that's something they have to work on too. It's okay to set these boundaries so that you're not overextended. Say no when you need that break, when things are overwhelming. No, thank you. The next one, I'm not going to go into too much detail about. That is prioritizing your self-care. I already did a whole series on self-care. So just knowing that a boundary that you can set for yourself is prioritizing your self-care. All the things we talked about. Self-compassion and physical activity and eating healthy and mindfulness and social connections, getting support, all those things. So the last one is seeking support, okay? Setting and maintaining boundaries can be difficult. And a lot of why people see me, when we get into it, boundaries is like one of the main underlying issues that are going on, whether it's personal, professional, any of the ones that I'd spoken about in my first video, emotional, mental, physical, financial, sexual, any of those, that is often the underlying thing that people seek support for once we delve into things. So seeing a therapist obviously can be beneficial. Seeking support from friends and family if they're able to maintain that emotional distance. I'd said in a video previously that there's a reason therapists don't treat family and friends. We're not emotionally connected. We're not emotionally involved. So if you're talking about boundaries to a friend that doesn't have boundaries, probably not the right person to talk to your boundaries about. But therapists or some others can offer guidance, encouragement, and a different perspective so that you can help install those healthy boundaries. I work with boundaries, clients and boundaries, like I'd said, all the time. And some of the things we talk about is, number one, what I said in my first video, it is not about putting walls up. We're not putting walls up with boundaries. It's about respectful, reciprocal behaviors. And if this is what you do, this is what I'm going to do. You know, like I'd said above, saying no, reflecting on what you can do, and communicating that. It's not traditionally what we think boundaries. So we talk about that it's not building walls. We talk about the different types of boundaries, porous, rigid, healthy, that sometimes we need to have all of those boundaries. Rigid, for instance, we may have rigid boundaries with certain people in our lives that cross our boundaries. Porous, we may have porous with family, because one aspect of a porous boundary is sharing more details about ourselves than we would with like someone at the store. Some self-reflection. We do a lot of self-reflection in therapy. I will talk a little bit more about the 3 different types of boundaries in another video. For now, just looking at seeking support to figure out the boundaries, reflect, all of the things that we've talked about. All right, so let me know how you implemented your boundaries by dropping me a comment, and let me know how it goes as well. Or if you have any struggles, just feel free to ask a question. And take care of you.